Welcome to my channel. I'm Airflyer, and we're sitting aboard the A320 from Fly-by-Wire. And today I'm going to show you how to set up the MCDU and the aircraft basically for a short, simple flight from here to Halifax. Of course, you can apply this on any other flight, but for the sake of this, we'll just use a short route and the basic setup on how to program your FMC or MCDU in the Fly-by-Wire A320. So without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to bring up the SimBrief page. And here we have our new flight page. So that's where you would want to start. So you would alternately you can put in your airline and flight number and stuff. So I usually fly Air Canada, so we'll go there and put in flight 632. So to depart, we'll start with CYYT, which is St. John's airport code, and we're going to Halifax, which is CYHZ. So now nothing will happen until you actually put in the aircraft type. So now for this aircraft, you want to select the A20N or the A320-251N. That selection is the selection for the fly-by-wire aircraft. Once it builds the flight plan and shows it on the map, then you can select which version or variant of that aircraft that you want. And you'll see in the list that fly-by-wire is listed there as the first one. So once you've done all that, you can go down here and play around with some of the numbers. Like for example, this has me departing off of runway 28. If I look at the weather for St. John's, winds are 290, so that runway is a good runway to go with. If the winds were a little different, you could select another runway. If you didn't want to go off of 28, you can select any of the other runways that are available. So, but we'll stick with 28 for now. And in Halifax, our weather is showing 140 at 8 knots here. That's where you'll get your weather from for the arrival airport. And runway 14 is selected, so that's okay as well. Once you've figured out your information you need for your flight, you can change your freight weight, the weight of the freight, payload, and what have you. But if you leave it on auto, SimBrief will do it all for you. So you just click Generate Flight. It takes a moment. It generates a flight, which takes you to a new page. Now this is where you're going to find the information relating to your flight, and plus SimBrief also has a downloader that allows you to export these flights into other aircraft, such as, well, you can import it into the actual flight plan system of Flight Simulator, or you could import it into any of the PMDG aircraft that you may have installed, and also X-Plane if you are a user of that platform. So once you have that information put in, before you leave this page, you're going to want to do one more thing, is get yourself a pen and a piece of paper, or a pencil and a piece of paper, and you're going to want to click up here where it says Takeoff Performance. This opens up another little window and allows you to calculate the takeoff performance for your aircraft for the current conditions. The airport, the runway length, your takeoff weight, and your settings for your flaps. So you can leave everything as is and just hit calculate, and it'll give you a output from that calculation page. The only thing you're really going to want to write down here is in the outputs section right here. So you're going to want to write down your flaps number, your flex temperature, which is right here, your cell temp or select temp. So that one's calling for 65 degrees. And then your V1, VR, and V2 numbers. You can write those down if you want. The aircraft does have a tendency to fill those out for you automatically, but I suggest if you want to keep with the SimBrief plan that you copy these numbers down and enter them in manually, which I will show you in a few moments. So once you've got the information done, you can minimize your SimBrief and get back into the aircraft. Okay, so we're back in the aircraft, and now we're going to start setting up now our flight. Now that we've programmed everything in the SimBrief and we've written down our information pertaining to our flight, We go up first. Now we want to turn on our batteries. Now, as you can see, everything on the overhead panel is laid out with descriptions on the side. You have electrical, air conditioning, fuel, hydraulics, evac, everything is listed there for you, so it's easy to find what you need. First thing you'll need to do is turn on your two batteries switches, so those will be right here, and then you turn on your external power. That's going to make a loud clicking sound, and then everything's going to come to life in the cockpit. Next thing you're going to want to do is turn on your ADIRS, or your navigation system, and you switch it to nav. One click on each button until it's locked into nav. You don't need to worry about anything else at the moment, so let's go down now and concentrate on getting your MCDU set up. First thing you're going to want to do now is turn on your tablet and wait for it to power up. Now it's going to show your flight right here, already laid in for you. So you're going to want to remember some of these numbers for input later, but for now we'll just go over to here to our setup for our flight, and we want our ground power unit turned on. And the first thing we're going to want to do is our fuel. Okay, so now first thing we're going to want to do is set up our fuel. So we'll go into our fuel page, and here you can see at the bottom there is a fill block fuel from SimBrief. So that will put in the amount of fuel we'll need for this flight. Then you click the little play button, and it'll start the refueling process. Then you go to payload, and you do the same thing. This bar right here, it says fill payload information from SimBrief. You click that, and it'll put in the passenger numbers, and then you can start the loading process. You can set your load to real time, fast load, or instant. Self-explanatory. I usually set it to real time because that gives me time then to set the aircraft up and without having the feel of pressure. So down to the CDU we go. Okay, it says select desired system, so we're going to select the one that's lit up in green here, the FMGC. Now, my current ARAC is out of date, but that's okay. We can still do the flight plan with this. You will want your ARAC system to be up to date. I think the current one now is 2409. I'm operating on 2408, but that's fine because the flight plan was made with 2408, so the aircraft will accept it. First thing you're going to want to do is go into your init ref, your init page right here, and you're going to hit init request right here where it says that. Click the button next to it, give it a couple of minutes to load, or a couple of seconds to load in. You'll see AOC active flight plan uplink, so you can hit clear a couple of times to get rid of that. Then before you go any further, you want to put in your flight plan. So you're telling your aircraft now what airport, what runway you're going to be departing from, and the waypoints you're going to use to get to your destination. So selecting the airport and then departure, then you're going to select runway 28 for your departure because that's what we had written down. And we can select the CYYT 8 for the departure. This is just a standard departure out of St. John's. Insert. Then you'll see this filled up. Don't worry about the flight plan discontinuity. That's not going to be relevant. So then next you want to select your destination and then your arrival. And we're going to be landing on runway 14, so ILS 14 is the one you select. Now, on your SimBrief page, you had copied down or took note of what the flight plan layout was for you. It's probably going to be Cabot 5 or Fundy 5, but let's have a look. Oh, it's the Lurla 5. So you click the up arrow here to change pages, as you can see, up or down. Lurla is on the second page at the top, so you click the button corresponding to that. And then it's asking for a VIA, and a VIA isn't listed here in my flight plan, so you can leave that out and just click insert. Now if you click the up arrow again, you can go down and review your flight plan. There is a flight plan discontinuity here. To get rid of that one, you click clear and then click the button corresponding to it, and it'll get rid of it and move the next waypoint up into its place. So once you have that done, then you go back to your init page, right here where it says init. Then you click the over arrow once, and that brings you to your init fuel prediction page. And what you're going to want to do then, this will fill it in all automatically for you. You click up here where it says ZFW, ZFWCG. Click that once. You'll see some numbers appear in the bottom. Click it again to put those numbers in. Then you come down and you click where it says fuel planning. Click that, and then block confirm. Give it a moment, and everything will get filled out for you there. Now, the next thing you're going to want to go to is your perf page. This is your performance page. This sets up the performance for your aircraft for takeoff. Now, if you wrote down the information earlier, the flap setting was 1. Now, you can't just put in 1 here. You have to fill out this entire row. A lot of people don't know what's supposed to go in there. I found out. So 1 slash. Now you can put anything you want in here, but the first 2 characters will be either up or DN for down. So UP for up or DN for down. So if you can set it to whatever you want. It's usually a range of numbers, but it'll look something like this. I'll show you an example. So up slash, put in your slash, 1.2. Then you click here. Oh, what did I do wrong here? Oh, oops. 1 slash up 1.2. So that's the format you want to put in, and then you click here and it'll fill that out. Up is how much deflection there is on your vertical stabilizers. So that's a setting of 1.2 degrees on your vertical stabilizers, and I'll show you where that comes into reflection later. Your flex to temp was 65 as laid out by SimBrief on your performance page. So 65, and then you put that in here. And then you can, and I'll show you how, if you want to add the V settings in automatically, you just click, a number will appear here, click it again. So click each one twice. And that puts in the automatic setting. If you want to put in the SimBrief numbers, you would just put them in manually like so. 138, 143. Oh, yeah, I know. Don't worry about those that come up there. They'll disappear once you finish putting in your numbers. And 144. And then just hit clear. Then finally, you want to go next phase, next phase, next phase until you reach this page, the approach page for ILS 14. This is for your arrival. Now this is where you come back to your little computer over here, your tablet. You click on the fly-by-wire or the dashboard button, which brings you back to this page where it shows you the information, weather information for CYHZ. If you have your little notepad ready, write down your barometer setting, your speed, wind speed, and temperature. So we've got 102.1027 millibars on the air pressure, 140 at 7 knots on the wind speed and direction, and temperature is 19 degrees. So we come over here and we input that information in here. QNH 1027. That goes there. Temperature was 19 degrees. That goes here. And then your wind speed goes below that, so 140/7. And over here you can put in your radio altimeter, which is usually 200 feet, or your minimums altitude, so which is usually about 200 feet on most flights. and you can put that in there. Here you can set up your landing configuration for full flaps or config 3, which would be a flaps 3 landing with a higher V speed. So your V app or vertical approach speed is 134, which is essentially your V ref. So if you want, you can just type in 134, and that makes that transition altitude says 18,000 feet, but it's in like smaller letters, so that means that it's subject to change. So if you want it to be locked at 18,000 feet, then you put in 18,000 feet. And that's it. That's the setting up of your FMC. That's complete. Your flight plan is put in. Again, don't worry about the flight plan discontinuity. I will show you how to get rid of that. So how you get rid of that is after you've done your departure and you're airborne and you're ready to navigate to your next waypoint, you would hit the DIR button and then select the next waypoint from here. Let's say if we want to fly to Texid, we would select Texid. It will appear up here in the top where it says waypoint, and then down at the bottom it'll say insert. So you click the button next to that, and that'll set that up as the next waypoint in your flight plan page, and it'll fly directly to that waypoint, and then to the corresponding waypoints after that. So that's it. That's your flight plan set up, ready to go. So now our AVIRS has already been aligned, so that's all ready to go. You're showing a partial route here on your map. And that's how you set up the MCDU for the fly-by-wire A320. Also, on Flight Simulator, the B button, Bravo key on your keyboard, is the default key for setting your altimeter up to the current altimeter setting, which is currently 3040. Your aircraft will always start in 29 or 902, which is default altimeter setting. So if you just tap your B button once, it'll reset your altimeter to the current and proper altimeter setting. Once you've set that up, then our flight altitude is going to be 38,000 feet. On a westerly heading, you fly at even numbers. On an easterly heading, you fly at odd numbers. So you would roll your altitude here until it reaches 38,000, and you can roll this little button down here to turn up that brightness there, so it's a little brighter. And that's it. The rest you can leave alone. CSTR is selected. Also, you want to come down here and turn on your predictive weather system. Turn that to auto. Set your system to 1. Multi-scans to auto. And OCS transponder number. I usually like to put in just my flight number, so 0632. And set your transponder to mode C, or auto here. When you're ready to do your takeoff, you would roll this button over to TARA, which will set up your takeoff and your weather radar. It also triggers the announcement for the flight attendants to take their seats for takeoff. So if you leave that alone until you're ready to enter the runway, once you hit it, you'll hear your captain announce to your flight attendants to prepare for takeoff. And that concludes the setting up of the MCDU and the basic setup for the aircraft to prepare for flight. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned from it. I will be making some other videos showing the aspects of taxiing and setting up the aircraft for actual takeoff. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.